name is Jasmine Sky, and I'm here today with a fun video because Valentine's Day is coming up just at the end of this week, and I thought I'd do something kind of themed around Valentine's Day, I guess, and also because I have seen people do this video and I think it is just lots of fun. So this is a tier ranking video. I pulled up one of the romance tropes tier rankings on the tier maker website. I'll link the specific one I'm using down below if you guys want to participate. And I'm just gonna rank these romance tropes, and you'll know maybe a little too much then about my favorite romance tropes. If we share a lot of the same tropes, I'm going to link my Goodreads shelf also in the description, specifically the romance shelf of my favorites. I only record my favorite books on Goodreads, and I categorize them on different bookshelves, and one of those bookshelves is romance. So all of my personal favorite 5-star romance reads, I will put that shelf down in the description so that if we share a lot of the same romance trope faves, you can probably find those in the books on that shelf. So without further ado, let's go ahead and do this fun romance video and see what happens. I'm gonna expose myself a little bit here, but that's okay. That's okay. So first off, we have Abduction to Love. We're already starting with one that's maybe a little shameful, but yes, I adore this trope. In fact, I was literally just telling my agent just the other day that if I had to choose one trope for the rest of my life, only one trope to read, write, just a single trope, then my favorite trope would be captivity stories. Not always captivity into captor-captive relationships. I do try to be cognizant of problematic content in the romance that I read and write, and captor-captive relationships are, they can be tricky, but I do love captivity stories. I love political captivity. I love prisoner of war stories, all of that stuff, as long as it doesn't get too angsty, as long as the captive maintains a sense of pride and dignity and isn't broken by the captivity. Those are my favorite stories, honestly. So yeah. Anyway, let's move on from that. Next one on the list is age gap, and this one I don't have very strong feelings about age gap. I guess I'll go with sometimes. So long as both people in the romance are adults, I don't like age gap when it involves minors. That's not okay in my book. But as long as they're both adults, then sure, it can be done fine. I have people in my real life, friends of the family, who have 10-16 year age gap between the married couples, so it doesn't really bother me personally. Next on the list is Amnesia. I have never loved Amnesia as a trope. I will occasionally enjoy it, which is why it's not a never, it's a rarely. But usually the stories where I enjoy Amnesia, there are other things going on that make me enjoy the story. Amnesia itself, it's not my favorite thing, typically. Angst. Again, very rarely do I enjoy angst. I mentioned that in the Abduction to Love trope. If it gets too heavy on the angst side of things, I can't do it. I have a really hard time, especially in a romance book, but even in a book that's not romance but has a romance subplot with these things, I prefer angst to come from outside the relationship, not inside the relationship, though I do understand, obviously good conflict makes for a better conclusion to a romantic arc, and if that conflict causes realistic angst, that's why I put it in rarely, not never, because, you know, I don't want it to be like completely conflictless in terms of a relationship. Next one on the list is another one of my all-time favorites, arranged marriages. Adore. This is kind of in the same category in my mind as Abduction to Love, especially when it comes to like political prisoners, prisoners of war, like those kinds of situations. Arranged marriage are similar situations where there's a larger political situation happening that cause the characters to be forced into an arranged marriage and have to make it work. I think arranged marriages can force people who wouldn't normally consider each other as romantic options to live domestically together or work politically together or things like that. And I love that. That's a trope I adore. So next on the list is bad boy, good girl. We're gonna make this gender neutral if you know me, you know I love them queer romances. So bad person, good person trope, it's okay. It's not my favorite. It depends on how well it's done. A good enemies to lovers is good. That might be on this list somewhere. So like this kind of can have that going on, but often this trope implies like it's the sweet, innocent, pure person with the like schoolyard punk person. It can be okay. It's not my favorite, but I don't dislike it. It's whatever. Next on the list is banter. Yeah, good banter. Great. Love it. Love some good dialogue going on in any story. So yes to the banter. Next on the list, BDSM. Yes, I do enjoy BDSM in my stories. Well done, BDSM. BDSM that like is safe, sane, and consensual, or if it's not safe, sane, or consensual, like there are other things in play with the story. So yeah, I do have, if you look on my romance bookshelf, there are a couple stories that play with BDSM in it. So yes, I do like it. I will probably never write direct BDSM with my career. I'm not planning on publishing any erotica, so that's why. I mean, you could supposedly write BDSM without erotica, but I think it would be difficult. And I just don't want to do that for my career as of right now. But I will say I do love playing with power dynamics. Like a lot. The specific thing I love in BDSM romances and in the books that I will write that include that sort of power dynamic aspect as well is the idea of like the partner who is more submissive still holding a lot of the power in the relationship, whether it's emotionally, power of agency, of choice, things like that, like a safe and sane BDSM relationship should have. So next on the list is best friend's brother, or we'll just go with best friend's sibling in general. I don't really care. I guess this is like the same category as bad boy, good girl. So I'm gonna move this one actually, because like both of these and Amnesia are all in the same category of like, if there are other things in the story that I would enjoy, I might enjoy it, but I don't seek out those tropes by themselves. They're not something that makes me, if I read a summary of a book and like that's the trope that's being highlighted, it's not gonna make me super excited to read the book. Next one, someone makes a bet. Typically in romance, I see this, I think this is referring to the situation usually where it's like, someone's friends bet that they can't make the love interest fall in love with them, and then like the angst comes in, and then the conflict comes in, when that bet is discovered. So like they actually start falling in love, and then the bet is discovered, and then it's like, you never actually liked me, that kind of conflict. It's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna put it in sometimes actually, because what I do like about this trope is that I like the aspect of there being forced into a relationship in a sense, like the person who makes the bet is seeking out someone they wouldn't otherwise have considered a romantic choice because of the bet, and then is realizing that, oh wow, I actually like this person. So like that aspect of it, which is the same kind of as like the arranged marriage thing, I like that a lot. But the bet part, it's like it's a ticking time bomb for the conflict that you know is going to come up, and this is not my favorite ticking time bomb. There are like other conflicts that are my favorite, so it's a sometimes. Next on the list is Billionaires. Rarely. If there's a story with a rich person, fine. Sometimes there are things you can do with riches that can be fun in stories, but I don't seek out stories with rich love interests or rich main characters by themselves. So, next, drunken hookup. I actually really don't like drunken hookups as a trope. I don't like drunk sex as a trope. It's just, you can't really give consent when you're drunk. If both parties are drunk, you are sharing in the not really giving consent but sleeping together anyway thing, and it's like, no one's at fault, but I just don't like it. I don't like reading it. Next, enemies to lovers. I do often like enemies to lovers. Occasionally, there are facets of the enemies to lovers trope that aren't my favorite, so it's a mostly, but I do like it on the whole. I do find it really fun when people who hate each other are forced to see each other in different ways. I enjoy that. I also enjoy this not on the romantic sense or the sexual sense, but also just like enemies becoming reluctant allies and then maybe not so reluctant allies. Like that is also one of my favorite tropes. Rivals then teaming up is one of my favorite tropes. Like I do love that. I'll do that. Fairy tales, similarly, I often love a good fairy tale retelling. Like 9 times out of 10, I adore a fairy tale retelling. Next is fake relationship. I adore fake relationship stories. I really, really do. We'll put that in always. It's just fake dating, fake engagements, fake marriages for like undercover spies. Like all of those things are so much fun and I adore them. Again, it's that same aspect of like two people who had not ever intended to see each other romantically, then being forced to reconsider each other as romantic interests, I think is just so fun. And also the other great thing about fake relationship, as is the case with arranged marriage as well, is suddenly being forced into domestic situations with someone that you had not seen in those domestic romantic situations. That's my bread and butter. I love it. Next on the list is forbidden love, and this is actually a never. I actively dislike forbidden romances. I really, really do. Oh, this is fun. Oh, I thought that's a forbidden romance, foreign romance. I was like, yeah, that's the same thing. Yeah, I actively dislike forbidden romances. It's not a conflict I enjoy, like, ever. I just don't like it. Okay, moving on. Foreign romances. It's fine, I think. Same thing. If there are other things in the book that I would enjoy, sure. I think the thing, this one actually, it's more of a never for me, because the thing I don't like about foreign romances is that ticking time bomb of like, they're gonna have to split ways eventually. I can't think of a book that I've read or a movie I've watched that has a foreign romance that I've actually enjoyed. I'm not counting out the idea that there might one day be one that I would enjoy done a certain way. I just can't think of one right now. Next, friends to lovers, the purest, the best. I'm gonna put it in mostly. Yeah, it's the same as enemies to lovers. These two, like 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna love it. I leave it in that 1 out of 10 where it's like, it kind of, yeah, it depends on the other aspects of the characters, right? But I do love that. Next is hate sex. Not a fan. In general, I do not read romance for the sex. I put BDSM up at the top and you're like, oh, kinky, but like, I do not read, I don't read BDSM for the sex. I don't read, I mean, I'm on the ace spectrum, so sex is not what appeals to me in romance books. And even though there are romance books in my favorites romance shelf that include explicit erotic sex, I did not read those books for the sex. I didn't make them 5 stars because of the sex scenes. Like, the sex is not what is attracting me to those books and those characters, etc. And that's actually, honestly, times when the enemies to lovers is not my favorite is when, like, it's an enemies to lovers that includes a lot of hate sex. It's just gonna turn me off, metaphorically. I'm just not into it. Huddling for warmth, sure. It's cute. Forced to be in proximity to each other is always cute. Humans and vampires. Fine. I don't know if paranormal is on this list or if this is kind of standing in place of all paranormal romances. I love a paranormal romance when the paranormals have a society and the human coming in is being forced to confront different societal expectations and things like that. That is when I love a paranormal story. So if that's the case, actually, I'm going to put this in sometimes, because if this is taking place of, if I'm changing this to be all paranormal romances, then that is, I will love it if there is a societal aspect, which tends to happen more with like werewolf stories than necessarily vampire stories, which is why this one went lower originally. But I would love to see a vampire romance with like a vampire coven clan, vampire societal politics. If you have any recommendations for a book like that, put them down below, please. Hurt comfort. Yes, this is actually the kind of angst that I do like, is the hurt comfort angst. So I don't like angst when there's a lot of angst between the couple, but if there is, you know, conflict that is happening and the couple is comforting each other, right? Or someone in the couple has to comfort the other. That is the kind of conflict that is, I do quite enjoy it. Insta-love. This is a fine, actually. I know a lot of people hate Insta-love. I don't. I can absolutely and have absolutely enjoyed books where they fall in love. Basically from the moment they see each other, one party falls in love from the moment they see the other, and then falls deeper and deeper in love, like as the story progresses. That I find that to be a very interesting relationship dynamic, and is also, I think, realistic. A lot of people point to Insta-love being like, this isn't realistic. And like, I know people in my real life who fell in love with their spouses the moment they laid eyes on them. Like, yes, maybe it's just they fell in lust, or like, you know, maybe it would have just been a crush that like would have vanished, but it didn't, right? They're married, they love each other, they love each other more and more every day. And like, I think that's true for some people. I think some people fall really, really fast. Some people fall really slow. So I do love a good Insta-love done right. Okay, next up, loss of virginity. Whatever. The actual trope of loss of virginity, I could care less. It doesn't bother me if it's in a book. I could care less. Love triangles. The only time I'm gonna put this in rarely, because the only time I love a love triangle is when the triangle turns into a threesome, a throuple, or whatever you want to call it. Next we have mistaken identity. I tend to adore. You know, I'm gonna put this in mostly. There are some mistaken identity books that they don't do it quite the way I like it, but the mistaken identities that I love mistaken identity like in superhero stories. This is one of my favorites. I love it when it's like, you know, I thought you were the person I was supposed to marry, but you're actually that person's brother trope. Like stuff like that I can really, really enjoy, because this is a ticking time bomb that is actually fun for me, unlike some of these other ticking time bombs that, like, for foreign romance that aren't. I don't really know how to explain it, but I do enjoy Mistaken Identity. Mutual pining, yes, we're gonna go with mostly. That's a fun way to have a little bit of conflict and, like, you know, angst in a story that's, like, still pretty soft. I do get annoyed if it goes on too long and it's like, just talk to each other. I don't, you know, but it's good. One of them is Famous. This is a sure. This is kind of, this one I like a little bit more than Billionaire stories, because the aspect of one of them is Famous, that I do like about Billionaire stories is, like, the media aspect. I really love stories that include that trope, that deal with public reactions to the relationships. I think that is really, really fun. But, like, them actually being rich and famous in and of itself is whatever. Out for You. What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. Does it mean, like, a stalker? So, or does it mean, like, the external conflict is someone is... Oh, this... I read so many queer stories where the characters are out and proud that I like, it didn't even click in my brain, but, like, is this referencing, like, I'm gonna come out because of our relationship? I guess that's good. Like, I guess that I one of the tropes I don't like that I would put in the never is the hiding in the closet. Like, when the angst of the relationship comes from a partner who's not out in a queer relationship, in a gay relationship, who then doesn't want to come out, and that's where the angst is coming in. I'm not a fan of that. But if they will come out, then that's good. I think that's, I don't know, it's kind of weirdly worded. Partners in Crime. Absolutely, I love Partners in Crime. I adore any type of power couple. Like, that's my fave. I love power couples. Playboy, nada. Don't. I mean, we can put it in the rarely because it's like Playboy then, like, falling deeply in love with one person can be fun occasionally, but I don't care. I don't care. Pregnancy, I like it. We'll put it in mostly. The actual pregnancy part, I don't care that much, but I love kid stories. I love stories that involve kids a lot. Babies through teenagerhood, like, I love all of it. And pregnancy is fun because it's, like, leading up to the kids, and I like it even better if it goes beyond the pregnancy and involves the actual children. Love kids. Porn without plot, I think I've already said this. No, not really. I don't really care about the sex. I like the other external things going on. Renewed first love. Yeah, this can be fun. It's kind of, this and second chance romance are kind of in the same category, where it's like, you know, I'm actually gonna put them in mostly because I like these most of the time. I like stories where someone has grown from love and learned from a past love, and then is coming back with more experience and wiser to where things had gone wrong initially. Things like that I do really enjoy. So yeah. Secret relationships. This is in the same category as forbidden romance for me. I mean, why are they hiding, right? Why are they hiding their relationship? I'll put this in rarely, actually, because, like, very occasionally they might be hiding their relationship for a reason that doesn't bother me. But I feel like 9 times out of 10, I don't get why they are being secretive. I don't enjoy it. So, sharing a bed, the best trope, being forced proximity, forced domesticity. Is that a word? Love it, love it. It's great. Sleepovers, take it or leave it, depends on the sleepover. Slow burn, Done well, yes. Done too slow, no. I think I already mentioned that when it comes to the mutual pining. There's got to be a lot of other stuff that's keeping them from finally getting there for me to enjoy a good slow burn. Soulmates, I adore. I adore soulmate stories. I think I adore it for the same reason I adore arranged marriages. I like when people who did not think that they would ever love each other are forced to consider each other romantically and then realize they do, or that they click and things like that. So yes, loving that. Unhappy endings, nada. Nada. I need my happy endings. I really do. Same with unrequited love. If it's truly unrequited love and not like you think it's unrequited but it's not, like that trope is fine. But truly unrequited love, no. I'm not a fan when it's the main romantic couple. Now, if it's second chance romance where it was unrequited towards someone else, then you've got the actual love interest coming in, that's fine. Worthy opponents, I do love that. This is like the rivals to lovers situation. I like this, and this plays into power couple as well. Like when your main couple is like interested in each other because of their jobs, because of their fighting skills, because of political reasons, and then slowly it morphs into like romantic interest. I like that. I tend to really like that. So there you go. This is my tier list. You can see my, yeah, that's this exposing myself here with that. And that's that. So I hope you enjoyed this Valentine's Day special. If there's another tier list that you want me to do, go ahead and link it down below and I will definitely consider doing it. If you have any romance books that fit these tropes up in my always mostly that you think I would enjoy, go ahead and link those down below. And if you've read any of the books on my romance favorites list, which again is linked in my description, then go ahead and tell me. Also linked in my description are some causes that need your support, so I would really appreciate you checking those out and giving your support if you can. You can also support my channel by liking this video, subscribing, etc. And thanks for watching. I look forward to chatting with y'all in the comments.